Live from the Investors Bank studio, Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti, Boomer and Gio on the Fan, across the country on CBS Sports Network. And joining us in studio right now is Super Bowl champion, former defensive end, outside linebacker, I guess edge rusher is what they call him these days.
Edge rusher, that's right.
Of the Cowboys and the Broncos, the great DeMarcus Ware, who is here on behalf of Snickers, and we got something to talk about that he brought in that is just absolutely incredible. Good morning, DeMarcus. How are you?
Good morning, fellas.
Man, you look like you can still play.
You know, look can be deceiving.
Dude, you walked in here, man. You've lost some weight, and you are chiseled. And I know you left because you had a bad back and probably left a couple years too early. But I was just telling DeMarcus, I remember we were at the AFC Championship game with CBS when you guys beat the Brady and the Patriots to get to Super Bowl 50 and then beat Cam Newton.
Right.
Those two games, the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game, you and Von Miller were virtually unstoppable. And I was standing on the sideline watching you guys get after Brady. How many hits did you guys get on Brady that day? Do you know?
I think there was a most in NFL history. I think it was 32.
You had 32
quarterback hits combined between me and Vaughn.
And they say the quarterbacks don't get hit anymore.
Yeah.
And I know the rules are such where you guys probably are somewhat frustrated. But that day they let you hit them.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's that time. It's the playoffs. You got to let the guys get out there and play. You can't be throwing a lot of flags because they want to see the excitement of the game. And me and Vaughn, and especially with Brady now, Brady, he doesn't go down. And he still almost won that game at the end, throwing that ball to ground.
They lost a game late in the season that cost them home field advantage. That's where they ended up not being able to get back to yet another Super Bowl.
Right.
And then in Super Bowl 50, obviously, you guys were all over Cam Newton.
Right.
And that was another, I want to, just tell us what it was like to get Peyton back that year, even though Peyton Manning wasn't the Peyton Manning that he had been prior to getting hurt. But what was it like to have him back on the field for you guys as a leader?
The thing is, when you talk about the sheriff, and that's what they called him, he was able to, manipulate the game mentally and not be physically there. And we all know that Peyton didn't play his best game, but he didn't lose the game.
Right.
He threw the ball. He didn't turn the ball over. And he knew that our defense was the number one defense in the NFL. We can get him short field. We can score points.
Do you think you would have won the game had Brock Osweiler, or could you have made it had Brock Osweiler stayed your starting quarterback?
I don't think so, because I think that, in the playoffs, we needed that momentum builder. And once Peyton came in the game, we needed that, okay, our starter's back. It was that team camaraderie. You know how when you go through OTAs, the training camp, everybody's pumped because they know who's playing. All of a sudden you lose your offensive captain, and now you get them back later on in the season, and it's like, okay, now we're boosted back up.
And the biggest personality of all.
Exactly.
Let's face it.
Exactly.
Boomer and Gio with DeMarcus Ware is here on behalf of Snickers. We have to get your reaction. You spent most of your career with the Cowboys. You still live in Dallas to the big Ezekiel Elliott contract. The holdout is over. He's back at practice today, so all the drama has subsided for a little bit. Now all the attention will go to the Dak contract. But what did you think of that news this morning?
I think that's the best news that the Cowboys could have heard for just the team in general, especially going into these big NFC East games. You got, Washington. You got the Giants, the first game. You got to be able to run the football. That is a run the football conference. And with Zeke being back, that takes a lot of pressure off of Dak. He can play like he needs to play, and they can win some football games.
How about their defense? How about the Cowboys with Lawrence, right? Mm-hmm. And you have Van Der Esch.
Right.
You have Miles Jack.
A lot of talent.
They have a lot of talent on that defensive side of the foot. Is this one of the better defenses they've had in a while?
I think this is the youngest, most talented defense that they've had in a long time. And those guys can run around. You can see that, they don't hold anything back. And you can see that Marinelli actually is not being conservative as he usually is, and he's actually blitzing a lot more. And so I think that now he has a lot more confidence in their defense, and they can win football games with that defense.
So we saw what Zeke just got, $105 million, which is crazy, but which is good for him. I don't ever begrudge anybody getting a contract in our sport.
Right,
we know that. Dak's going to get another contract, and this contract is going to dwarf that contract because this one's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 to $35 million a year.
Wow.
Is Dak worth that much money?
I think Dak is worth that amount of money if he starts throwing the football a lot more. And I'm being honest, if you are a quarterback that's going to put everything on your shoulders, you need to throw the football a lot more and manage the game to a point to where you can put any running back there, and you can win football games.
You like him, though.
I love Dak. I mean, I love Dak.
Seems like he is like the face of the franchise.
Yeah, he's
now.
the face of the franchise. But right now, Zeke is the face of the franchise because he's moving the chains.
Right.
But you got to have that two-headed monster with Dak and with Zeke. And if you get both of those guys on the same page, I mean, the sky's the limit.
And when you see some of these numbers, it's crazy. The Jared Goff contract, $110 million guaranteed. Dak might get $30 to $35 million a year. I mean, you feel like, are these guys worth it? But it's really the cost of doing business, because you're either going to give a guy like Dak Prescott $35 million a year, or you're going to let him walk. And I don't think the Cowboys can afford to start over at that position.
No, he's proven that he can play football and win a lot of football games and get you deep into the postseason. You can rely on a first-round draft pick all you want to, or try to trade a guy, but that's not going to be enough. And we know that there's been a lot of first-round busts. Mm-hmm. So I just think that you got to go with what your gut tells you. Pay Dak, pay Zeke, Amari Cooper, and go win some football games.
Well, they just paid Collins. They just paid Jack. They paid them all. I mean, which is
Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen. I say Miles Jack. Jalen.
Yeah,
Smith.
Jalen. Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I think about what the Cowboys are building down there, it seems to me like they're on the precipice of another long run here of success. I mean, they've had success with Dak. The thing about him is when he was at Mississippi State, his junior year, I believe it was, he went into LSU and beat LSU for the first time. And he took a beat in that game. And, I came out of that game and I remember telling Al Dukes, call the PR department out there in Mississippi State. I want a Dak Prescott jersey.
Right.
Because he was so impressive.
Right.
So he may be limited in terms of, is he going to make those 5 or 10 really special plays a game? I don't know.
He can win you football games.
But he can win you football games.
Running the
and
football.
The team
and
believes in him.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing.
And he has a lot of confidence. And he's one of those guys where no matter how much they've thrown at him, he still finds some way to excel and get through it. Because look at it. He's not throwing the ball enough. Great. You're still winning football games.
Well, Zeke running the ball too, right?
And he's running the football. So I just think that, you can't, put those type of constituencies on him. You just got to let him get out there and play.
Now, there is $60,000 in the studio with us right now.
$60,000.
There's $60,000.
You sure about that?
To my rights were $60 million.
Yeah, well, we know that.
One time when he was on the field.
Sure, but there's an item here that's $60,000 that is on the table next to DeMarcus Ware, and it is the S of the Snickers logo. And tell us what this chain is going to be doing during this NFL season.
The thing is, I have an opportunity.
Why don't you hold it up for the camera, too?
I'm going to hold it up to the camera.
Now, let me see.
Right
I'll put it on.
Can you see this thing? Put this thing on.
Yeah, baby. I feel like MC
NY,
Hammer
the big apple.
Now, look at this, man.
But I have an opportunity to just partner with Snickers and,
what up, dog?
really reward the player for being the hungriest. The fans also. Right. And we're getting them involved and saying that we're going to be able to, performance-wise, give this bling bling chain here to the player that performs the best. But I think what really makes it different is the charity part that goes with it. Not just the on the field stuff, but the off the field stuff as well. And we want the fans to really get involved. Like go to, all of the Snickers handles and help nominate these players. But then at the end of the year, however much this value of this chain is going to go to their charity. And that's what's awesome about it, because it's so well-rounded. It's not just about performance. It's about the off-the-field accolades.
I can see my daughter, Sydney, sitting at home right now saying, Dad, that's got an S on it. That looks good around my neck. I know, yeah. So.
Yeah, that's Superman. You're a Superman now.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yes,
I'm Superman.
That's what Snickers is to everyone else.
So it's kind of interesting that you guys came up with this idea, because University of Miami has been doing the chain thing down there on the sideline and all this stuff. And this is, it's just a way to highlight great plays, get players excited and all that other stuff. I had a former teammate of mine. He was drafted number 1, 5th overall pick in the first round in 1988. And Ricky Dixon was his name. And he played at the University of Oklahoma, one of my favorite teammates who's dealing with some physical issues now. And I just always wish him the best and everything. So he comes to me and he said, because I was the only player on the team he knew. And he said, Booms, I want to get an MC Hammer chain. This was back in 1988, right? He wanted a big Ricky DeRuler chain, because that was his nickname, Ricky DeRuler.
Right.
So he goes to a local Cincinnati jewelry store, and they basically quote him $35,000 back in 1988 for a chain like this.
In 1988.
So we know that's expensive.
So I took him to a jeweler friend of mine who did exactly what he needed and wanted for only $3,500.
Right.
So, but this thing is worth $60,000.
That's a lot. That's
a lot of bling, man.
And that chain gets to travel. That chain gets to travel.
It travels to
it travels. So whatever player gets that chain, we get to see what they're going to do with it. Every single week, which is going to be great. But this right here is the first stop.
All right, so there you go.
This is first stop.
Here's who I hope gets it. I hope that Odell Beckham Jr. gets it one week.
Yes.
I hope that
Aaron Donald. We got to give it to Aaron Donald. We got to give it to Aaron Donald.
He's definitely going to get it.
For sure.
He's the best player in football. I hope that just trying to think like
it has to be given to Zeke because he's hungry all the time. He's always eating. So we got to make sure
he'll get it. Cam Newton. In a post-game press conference with the hats and the outfits and everything like that. Would be awesome, right?
Awesome.
God, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think of
Baker would get it. Hungry player.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker
Mayfield.
Tom Brady wearing something like this?
Oh,
without a doubt.
You would imagine.
He has to. He has to. Tom Brady.
Antonio Brown.
Yes.
maybe he could deliver to him
He'd probably
in a
lose
hot
it,
air
though.
balloon.
That's the problem.
Hey, Jared Goff has to get it because his contract is so big that he can afford it.
But he can give it to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
He certainly can.
Yes,
Who's the flashiest guy that you played with?
Flashiest guy I played with. The thing is is Larry Allen.
Really?
The thing is the quietest guy, but the most flashiest guy.
He always had to have the jewelry.
Oh, my God. He had a chain. Actually, his bracelet was probably as big as that because you know how big Larry Allen was when he played. And it had 42 1-carat diamonds wrapped around his wrist. And he wore it, and he still wears it. He actually wore it in the Hall of Fame. In the Hall of Fame speech. So I actually see if he still had it, but he still does. And just something like that. I mean, you can go and get the chain like this, but when you have big jewelry like that and those big diamonds, you can't hide it. You know exactly.
And people know you got it.
Yeah, you know you got it.
But
you're not going to take it from him. You're not going to take it from him.
You may not take it from him, but you can take it from his house.
That's right. That's right.
You got to be careful about it. What was it like? And how is your relationship with the owner, Jerry Jones, down there?
It's great. Able to go in. He's really awesome with the former players, and you can see that he opens the doors up for everything. For anybody that comes in there, and it's been great just be part of that whole organization that sort of etched my name in stone in the star. And that's what I wanted to do when I first came in with my career and did that. And actually with Denver Broncos as well. Mm-hmm. So, but Jerry, he's one of those guys, man, when you sit down and talk with him, I knew when Zeke got off of that plane and he was coming to the Dallas Cowboys, I said, well, they're going to sign him. Sure. Because what they did with me, Jerry Jones is over on the other side. He has this little candle right there, and he's sitting looking at you like this. He's not smiling anymore. And he's saying, hey, so I'm going to give you 6 years, $90 million. Do you want to take it or not? With no smile. And you're like, oh, my God. Like, really? And the deal gets done.
Right.
Just like it just happened.
How did that ever happen with me and the Bengals that way?
No, I guess
it didn't happen with me and the Cardinals that way either.
Certainly not in the Jets either.
No.
So Jerry Jones, when he was asking or answering questions about these guys and their contracts, brought you up. He said that one of his big regrets was letting you go when he did, or they did, the organization, you going to Denver with so much left in the tank. Did you hear him say that, and what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot to me, knowing that he didn't want to release me, but you had to because it's a business. And he's going to have to release some guys eventually, or guys are going to have to take pay cuts. Like
if they want to stay there.
If they want to stay, Leo Collins or Tyron Smith. I had to, backload that money. It's detriment at the end of your career, but you have to now go get those other players so you can have that free money. So we'll see what happens.
It was all worth it to win Super Bowl 50.
It's worth it.
Oh,
it
man.
is so worth it.
The grin on your face after that game.
Man, you see that grin?
Oh, man. We had you right on CBS. It was ridiculous, man.
So you champion. This is champion right here.
That's right. So you want fans to follow Snickers on Instagram and Twitter and social media outlets to win rewards and see which player receives the chain each week. And that's going to be a fun thing to follow. So it's not just a one-week thing.
It's not.
Goes throughout
Every
the season.
week there's going to be some excitement around this.
DeMarcus, it was a pleasure
having you.
Great to see you
again, man.
All right, thank you.
Stay in great shape, man.
Yes,
Super Bowl
Thank
champion, DeMarcus Ware.
Told me he was 37 years old.
I know, it's my
That
age.
makes you 27.
Puts me to shame.
Dude, man, I can't believe that you're 37 years old.
Boomer and Gio on the Fan.